Hello and welcome. You're watching The Money Show. I'm Kavita Thapliar and the show is your one-stop destination for all your personal finance queries, and we help you align all your financial strategies with your financial goals, and whether it is your child education, your retirement, or anything in between, we help you navigate all of these big financial decisions by our experts and their recommendations. This also leads us to doing your life financial planning on the show. So just in case you want to send across any queries, you can do that on our WhatsApp number. You can send across your portfolio questions on our WhatsApp number, which is 865-7974571, and the email ID is themoneyshow@etnow.tv. So let's begin the show. And the beginning of the month often marks key financial activities like salary credits, bill payments, and planning expenses. But just as we plan for our expenses, it's equally important to plan for our investments. Now, to encourage this habit, SBI Mutual Fund, in collaboration with Times Network, is launching a nationwide investor awareness initiative, Bharat Nivesh, Behtar Nivesh, Behtar Kal. The objective of this initiative is to promote the habit of consistent investing among Indians, helping them secure their financial future. As part of the campaign, we are observing 4th of every month as a monthly reminder to ensure that you start your mutual fund SIP or ensure your existing SIP continues. So go on and set your reminder to invest consistently and stay committed to your goals for the financial well-being of you and your loved ones. And today on the show, in fact, on this very special segment, we'll be discussing about hybrid funds. Who should invest in hybrid funds, what are hybrid funds, and how can you align them with your financial goals? To elaborate more on this, I'm joined by Joydeep Sen. He's a corporate trainer and author. Joydeep, hi, good evening and welcome to the show. All right, so let's talk about hybrids, a category which is really gaining momentum among investors. But we really want to understand what does it actually mean, because we have a range of schemes under hybrid category. We have aggressive, conservative, or dynamic asset allocation category where you can navigate across asset classes, not only just equity and debt. You can also invest in multi-asset allocation funds. So a lot of choice, a lot of option for an investor. Please explain what exactly are we talking about when it comes to hybrid funds?
Hi, Kavita. Good evening. So as you correctly said, multiple assets and multiple allocations, multiple potential allocations. So to break it down and simplify for the viewers, there are six categories of hybrid funds as per SEBI regulations. And all these categories are various combinations of equity, debt, and gold. And as you said, to an extent, silver also. So what are these proportions? So aggressive hybrid fund, 65 to 80% in equity. Conservative hybrid fund, 10-25% in equity. And we have something called multi-asset fund, which has allocation to at least 3 asset classes and minimum 10% in each asset class. So usually what mutual funds do is they allocate 65% or more to equity for taxation of equity, 25, 20 or 25 odd percent in debt, and balance in gold. And that gives you exposure to multiple asset classes. There's a category what we call BAF. BAF is a balanced advantage fund, where equity is there, 65% or more of the portfolio. But part of the long equity exposure is shorted by the fund manager, so that the net effective equity exposure is that much lower, so that your volatility also is that much lower. We have something called arbitrage fund, arbitrage between the cash or spot segment of the equity market and the derivatives futures segment of the market, and something called equity savings fund. So now coming to the moot point as to how you would do the allocation, depending on your objectives, on your horizon, on your risk appetite. If you are more equity oriented, go for aggressive hybrid fund. If you are somewhere in between, you can go for BAF, where the effective equity allocation is decided by the fund manager, who is an expert. Or if you want multiple assets, you can go for multi-asset allocation fund, which gives exposure to at least 3 asset classes: equity, debt, maybe global international equity also, and gold.
All right, let's talk about the kind of placement you need to have in this fund or these kind of funds. What happens is when you're formulating a portfolio, when you are deciding on your portfolio mix, you definitely want to stay diversified across market caps, for which you have specialized funds. So how should I decide on having a hybrid fund? Because if I'm an aggressive investor, I will go all out and buy a large cap or mid cap, small cap, depending on my risk appetite. But if I'm a conservative investor, I will maybe invest in a completely debt fund depending on the kind of duration I'm interested in investing. So how do I decide upon which category of hybrid fund is suitable for me? We do have multi-asset allocation funds that give you, exposure in commodity as well. But we also have ETFs, which are giving us similar exposure. In fact, a much more ratio, where you can in fact invest in a pure gold ETF or a pure silver ETF. So talking about a category which is purely equity oriented or maybe that asset class oriented versus a hybrid which gives you the taste of that particular category or that particular market cap, how should you balance it out in your portfolio then?
Sure. That's a very relevant point. So, three things here. The first point is your overall portfolio allocation as to how much you want to have in equity, how much in debt, how much in international equity, how much to gold, and how much to silver. Now, these are various modes or methods of investment. Like you said, in equity, we have large cap, small cap, multi cap, fixed cap. We have so many hybrids we discussed. We have specialized debt funds. We have ETFs. So it is the overall portfolio allocation that is relevant. And these are various methods or instruments of doing it. The second part is what is the USP of hybrid funds? The USP of hybrid funds is rebalancing. In the sense, if it is, say, 60, 30, 10, 60 equity, 30 debt, 10 gold. What happens is a rally in one market, say rally in equity means your equity goes up, 60 becomes 70 or 75 or 80, and your balance gets distorted. So in a hybrid fund, since there's a specialized fund manager doing it for you, you have that much of discipline and you have the allocation. So it is the overall thing that matters. And the third point is a mutual fund. A mutual fund per se is a tax-free entity. The taxation we discuss is the tax we pay as an investor or a unit holder. Now, when a mutual fund sells and books profits, the mutual fund per se does not pay any tax. So when I am doing it, let's say my equity goes up from 60 to 80, I book some profit, I buy some debt, or I buy some gold. There is a tax implication. But when the mutual fund does it, there is no tax implication per se. We pay tax only as unit holders. So it is a more disciplined approach to balancing. Otherwise, if you can do it yourself, and if you have a financial advisor or a distributor or DIY, you can do it yourself. You can do it yourself, but tax implication is there. Or you can allocate so much to your relevant, suitable hybrid fund to maintain that discipline of allocation.
All right. One last question we want to really understand, because what is the right stage to introduce this fund in your portfolio when you are almost closer to your financial goals, because then you obviously cannot take much more risk, or you should introduce this kind of a fund in the initial stages of your portfolio planning or when you're just setting out with your investment journey. What should be the time for such kind of a fund?
Yeah. So this also is very significant. So in financial planning, we talk of three stages. One is the accumulation phase, one is the decumulation phase, and in between we have the consolidation phase. So there's no hard and fast definition. Broadly, we can say it starts from say 50 or let's say 55. So if we say 60 is the retirement age, from around 50 or 55, consolidation starts. So what happens is when you are young, when you have a long horizon, you can have an equity heavy portfolio. So as you are moving towards a superannuation, you have to consolidate. And that is where the significance of hybrid funds is that much more. So what you can do is you can go for tax efficient hybrid funds. So for your SWP, that is systematic withdrawal plan, you can have tax efficient hybrid funds, for example, BAF, Balanced Advantage Fund. These are mostly equity from taxation perspective, multi-asset fund, mostly equity from taxation perspective, aggressive hybrid fund, equity from taxation perspective. So if you start the SWP after 1 year from the initial investment, it becomes taxable at 12.5%. So maybe in the consolidation phase or afterwards also in the decumulation phase also, you can have hybrid funds as part of your overall allocation.
All right, Joydeep, I do have a lot of questions for you, but then it's time up for me on this particular segment. But thank you so much for taking our time and helping our viewers as to how to navigate through this category, to have it there in the portfolio. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.